In what were the biggest protests so far, thousands took to the streets across Algeria on Friday, calling for the octogenarian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika not to seek a fifth term. Satellite images suggest North Korea could be preparing to launch a missile or a rocket for the first time since high-level engagement with Washington began. And Venezuela braces for large pro- and anti-government protests today. This as massive nationwide electricity blackouts bring further chaos to the country. Welcome back to the France 24 newsroom in Paris. I'm Tom Burgess-Watson. Thank you very much for joining us. We begin with what were the biggest rallies yet in Algeria, where tens of thousands of people took to the streets across the country on Friday, expressing their opposition to plans by President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to run for a fifth term. Well, in some areas, small clashes broke out, but the overall atmosphere was reported to have been calm and festive. Well, President Bouteflika, who's confined to a wheelchair, is rarely seen in public, and he's currently receiving medical treatment at a clinic in Switzerland. Well, it isn't clear when he'll be heading home to Algeria, which raises the question, who is actually running the country? France 24's Cole Stangler reports.
The phantom head of state. Rarely seen in public since 2013, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika relies on a tight-knit inner circle. It includes his brother and special advisor, Said. While photos of the man are rare, many in the opposition believe he's the one truly running the country. He's close to Ali Haddad, a billionaire from the construction industry who runs a business lobby that counts 7,000 companies across Algeria.
These businessmen play several roles. They finance campaigns, and they finance the press. No businessman wants to have his interests threatened by an abrupt transition of power.
Another pillar of the Bouteflika clan, General Ahmed Gaid Salah, head of the armed forces. Days ago, he reaffirmed the army's commitment to security and stability throughout the country. Also in the circle, the current prime minister, the head of intelligence services, and the head of the state-controlled Union Confederation. At the same time, defections are growing, including from many ex-intelligence officers. Sidi Abadou, who runs a powerful group for the veterans of the War of Independence, has said authorities are responsible for the current situation.
This is starting to become a lot, especially if you add journalists and lawyers who protested, and then this broader population of intellectuals who are speaking out.
Street pressure that Bouteflika's allies didn't appear to see coming.
In other news, satellite images suggest that North Korea could be preparing to launch a missile or a rocket. Well, Pyongyang hasn't carried out a missile test since 2017, and for much of the past year there's been high-level engagement between Kim Jong-un's inner circle and Washington. France 24's Yuka Roya has this report.
After talks fell apart in Vietnam, Donald Trump says he's confident he can keep on working towards resolving the nuclear issue with Pyongyang. This despite recent reports of suspicious activity at North Korea's missile launch sites.
Our relationship with North Korea, Kim Jong-un and myself, Chairman Kim, I think it's a very good one. I think it remains good. I inherited a mess with North Korea, and right now you have no testing, you have no nothing. Let's see what happens, but I would be very disappointed if I saw testing.
On Friday, US public radio station NPR reported that there were signs North Korea could be preparing a missile or rocket launch in the near future from a site known as Sanumdong. The facility north of Pyongyang is known to have assembled some of its intercontinental ballistic missiles. Satellite imagery by Digital Globe, taken late last month, just before the summit between Trump and Kim, showed cars and trucks parked near the facility. The revelation followed reports by 2 US think tanks and South Korean intelligence earlier in the week that North Korea had likely started restoring launch facilities at Tochangri, west of the country. The Sohae long-range missile launch site was dismantled last year as part of the steps Pyongyang took when it entered nuclear talks with the United States. Experts said that satellite images indicated that work to rebuild the site likely started between mid-February and early March. While activities at the two sites could be connected, some analysts warn against jumping to conclusions, as there have been multiple occasions in the past when activities at those sites turned out to be false alarms. North Korea hasn't conducted missile or nuclear tests since November 2017.
Now, large pro- and anti-government protests are expected in Venezuela today. This as the opposition leader Juan Guaidó continues to pile pressure on President Nicolas Maduro to hold fresh elections. Well, both men are calling on their supporters to fill the streets. These latest protests come in the context of a massive electricity blackout, which has crippled hospitals and other public services. France 24's Catherine Norris-Trent is there. She filed this report.
This has been Venezuela's longest and most widespread electricity blackout. The country's used to power cuts, but nothing usually on this scale. It's been paralysing life here in the capital, Caracas, but also affecting the vast majority of Venezuelan states. So it's meant electricity shortages, phone lines down, schools are closed, many businesses and shops too. And also the transport system here in Caracas is mostly closed, such as this metro station here. And all this is adding the pressure on embattled President Nicolas Maduro, and it's heightening divisions and tensions here too.
Whose fault is it? The government's, of course. Who in the government? I don't know exactly who, but the government in general. They haven't done enough or made enough effort to take care of the country.
We hope that this blackout will bring us good news and that Maduro has finally gone.
Elsewhere in the capital, in the Plaza Simón Bolívar, there's also been a pro-government demonstration. Now, this march was originally called by Nicolas Maduro to mark International Women's Day. But the question of this huge power shortage here, it's being used to boost the pro-Maduro argument.
We Venezuelan women support Nicolas Maduro. We will give our lives for him.
This was sabotage, which cut off electricity in the whole country. We are in the streets to show that we won't give in. Even if they cut off the lights and the water, even if it's hard to find food, we will stay in charge of our own country.
The Maduro government has called this blackout an electricity war against Venezuela. But whether it is down to sabotage, like they say, or rather mismanagement of a dilapidated electrical system, what's clear is that this outage has become, like everything here, eminently political.
France 24's Catherine Norris-Trent reporting there. Now, with 3 weeks to go before Brexit is due to take effect, the British Prime Minister Theresa May is appealing to the EU for, and I quote, one more push to get her Brexit deal through Parliament. The Premier warned that if MPs reject her plan again, the UK's withdrawal from the bloc may never happen. France 24's Naomi Lloyd tells us more.
Smiles for the cameras, but the pressure on British Prime Minister Theresa May is relentless. Speaking at a factory in the staunchly pro-Brexit fishing town of Grimsby in northern England, she urged the EU to make a final concession.
It needs just one more push to address the final specific concerns of our Parliament.
In Brussels, Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier tweeted the EU's offer.
The EU commits to give the UK the option to exit the single customs territory unilaterally, while the other elements of the backstop must be maintained to avoid a hard border. The UK will not be forced into a customs union against its will.
The deputy head of Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party, Nigel Dodds, slammed the proposal, saying it disrespects the constitutional and economic integrity of the United Kingdom. With just days to go until Parliament votes for a second time on the withdrawal deal, May urged MPs to back her plan, adding that if they didn't, Britain might never leave the EU at all. The date Britain is due to leave is looming on the 29th of March. If Parliament throws out the deal on Tuesday, MPs get the option of leaving without a deal, a hard Brexit, or asking to delay the exit date.
And finally, for the 17th straight Saturday, yellow vest protesters are gathering across France today. Here in Paris, as well as the cities of Lille and Bordeaux, groups are assembled. These are the latest pictures from the Champs-Élysées here in the French capital. They appear to show some gilets roses, pink vests. There are women's groups taking part in those protests. Well, the gilets jaunes, as they're known here in France, have been protesting since November. They began as an opposition movement to planned fuel tax increases, but they morphed into a broader protest group against President Macron. That brings us up to date with the world news. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.